In this presentation, I'm going to be going over a variety of closing techniques, and I'm also going to cover the feel, felt, found principle and a couple other tips that are very useful to keep in mind when you're going out there and you're doing sales. This presentation is one that I've given on a variety of occasions live, and I've used it for many years because it's a very valid presentation for giving people an overview of closing techniques. Now, keep in mind, these are not all the closing techniques that exist. There are thousands of them. There are tons of variations. I had to select a set of closing techniques that I thought were highly relevant and useful for a wide variety of applications. Well, all these techniques are given to you with the mentality and the mindset that you'll take them and modify them and use them as you see fit when you're out there doing sales on your own. Now, let's start. The first thing that I want to go over with you is this. These techniques I'm going to give to you are not to be used robotically. If you are a robotic type of person, somebody who thinks with a mentality of, if I do A and B and C, if you have that methodical kind of mindset where it's you want an instruction set to sales, you're really barking up the wrong tree here. Nobody can give you that. There is no magic bullet or secret recipe. There's no way to learn sales without having done sales, without practicing your skills. Sales is an analog, fluid, natural thing. It's a social thing. It's something that you have to learn to sense your way through. You have to develop your animalistic instincts, so to speak. You can't just go into the closing arena, with, a robotic, very staccato kind of a mentality and expect to be a good closer. It just doesn't work like that. Persuading people is something that is a skill. Charisma is a skill. It's something you build up. It's something, on the one hand, it's innate. On the other hand, it's a skill. So it's something you're going to have to inculcate and foster and develop in yourself. Okay, it's not something I can give to you or anybody can. So I just wanted to get that out of the way right up front. When you're looking at this stuff, look at it as rough guidelines. There's no hard rules here. Practice ultimately does make perfect. Prospects can smell fakes. If you seem phony, again, you're not going to close people. You can't be a phony. And on one hand, people will say, well, sales is phony. Well, not really. You're being yourself. You can't be too fake. If you're really, really fake, you're not going to make sales. Simple as that. And lastly, have fun with this stuff. This stuff is here for you to use and make your own and have fun with you doing. Next is the 80-20 rule. This is something that I think a lot of people need to keep in mind. It's also known as the Pareto principle. Vilfredo Pareto was an Italian economist in the 1800s, and he observed that 80% of land was owned by 20% of people. Now, with that in mind, he looked at it and, realized that this applied to other industries. People took this 80-20 idea and looked at different industries, different things all together, like education. And again, and eventually somebody looked at sales and said, hey, 80% of sales come from 20% of salespeople. 80% of your closes will come from 20% of your demos. Now, this applies to our industry in a whole bunch of ways, because it applies to your business. If you're running a business and you have a sales force, you can bet on this principle being true. If you're going out and doing sales yourself, you can bet on this being true. Because the 80-20 rule is a real thing, you have to look at everything you're doing through the lens of numbers. Look at what you're doing in terms of ratios and numbers. You are not going to close every single person. You are not going to get every single sale. What we try to do in sales is drive our ratios up. When you very first start selling, you very first start closing, you're probably going to be a little bit nervous. If you haven't done this before, it's something alien and new and foreign to you. You will grow over time to be more and more comfortable. With comfort will come confidence. With confidence, you will start to close more. And I firmly believe that it's much easier. I always like the old analogy. It's easier to give birth than resurrect the dead. It's much easier to take a person who doesn't have a huge sales background and shape them into a person and have them shape themselves into a person that's effective than it is to, take somebody who thinks they know everything and won't learn and try to get them to change their ways. So if you're someone who hasn't done sales before, do not think of that as a bad thing whatsoever. It's not bad. It's something you can absolutely use to grow yourself into a better and more effective salesperson. Now we're going to go to our first close, and this is the assumptive close. This closing technique is one of the absolutely perennial best and most fundamental of all closing techniques, and it is used so much. We use the assumptive close so much. It forms the basis of probably hundreds of variations of closes. And also, as I go through this, keep this in mind. Closing techniques all blend together. Okay, it's not like you use this one technique and then you use this one other technique. They all blend together fluidly because it's conversation. Like if I were sitting there and I'm talking to you, this is how the assumptive close works. You'll sit down. I have this contract. Let's pretend that my notebook here is a contract. And I sit down with you, and I've been pitching you, and we've gone through my demonstration, and I get to the end. Instead of me asking you, hey, do you want it? Do you want to buy it? Instead of that, I go, hey, here's the contract. I just lay the contract in front of you. And I go, okay, you sign right here, put your name, put your date, and we'll arrange payment here in a few minutes. But this is the contract to get started. I just assume that you're buying. I ask, how many do you need of this product? I ask, how many of these do you want? When do you want them delivered? I assume. I walk into the close from an assumptive perspective. That's the assumptive close. Walking into the closing arena with the mindset that we've already made the sale. What this does is it operates on the principle, basically, that it's difficult for this person to deny it, and they will just go along with it. It kind of carries the momentum of the demonstration right into the close to carry the person through to get them to buy. The quality close. This is a close that really, really works. A lot of people, there are lots of people, keep this in mind for this closing technique. There are a lot of people out there that want to buy a product that's quality. They don't care as much about price. When you are demonstrating and pitching to these people, right, individuals, like you walk into a business and then you can tell that this person, this business, this individual is all about quality. You want to talk up the quality of your product way more than the price. Don't even get into price till the very end. Talk quality, quality, quality. What you do is you go into this, right, into the closing technique, and to close the person, you have your contract there. And you're sitting there and you're going to close this individual, and you talk to him about, okay, yes, this costs $1,200, but how much is $50 times 20 years going to cost you? $50 a week times 20 years, which is what that other product is going to cost. The person doesn't want to die by flea bites. They just want to pay that money, get a quality product, and never worry about this again. So you emphasize all the qualitative traits, all the traits of buying quality. Yes, it's a one-time payment, but it's quality. Quality lasts a lifetime. Quality is forever. Quality is something that intangible. You basically are closing them using all these as the reasons for them buying this. A lot of people, myself included, in fact, are much happier spending a big chunk of money right now than being bled to death over a long period of time. So the quality close really does work. And there's many situations in which emphasizing quality over value and cheapness and price and stuff like that is much more important. And you will get closes this way. Qualified customer close. This plays to sort of the vanity and the ego of the individual which you're pitching, right? There are a lot of people that, and it really triggers fear of loss and greed. This is what this is really about fundamentally, is fear of loss and greed. You go into a business and you pitch them, right? You pitch them on, you show them your product, you show them your service, you go through your demo, you go through everything, get to the closing point, and you pull back instead of push. You say, well, I understand, you have given you this demonstration. You're very interested in this product. I can see it in your eyes, but I have to ask you some questions before we can talk about you buying this. A lot of people will be dumbfounded, especially somebody who's very egocentric, narcissistic, full of themselves. They're expecting you to beg them to buy it, and you turn around and say, no, we have to qualify you first. So what you do is you ask the person, well, you come up with your reasoning, your rationality for the qualification. You sit there and you say to them, hey, well, how many people in this, how many employees do you have at your business? And they'll ask you, like, why? Why does that matter? And you say, well, I'm sorry, but I can only sell to businesses that have 5 or more employees, for example. And they'll go, why is that? Well, the way that our service works is we don't sell to everybody in a given area because it would cheapen our product. So we want to make sure that you're qualified before we can sell you this product. You walk through it like that. You give them, you know, something that's and you can even use this for discounts and, you know, price drops, where you say to them something like, okay, well, your area that you have here, I can give you 20% off if, and you throw in something like, if you've got X employees, or you tell them, since you're in this industry, in this shopping plaza, and there's only one of this type of business here, I can give you 10% off. You make them special. Is the bottom line here is you're making them special and using that specialness as a price drop. You're also using that takeaway to try to scare them out of losing the ability to buy this product. And this is a very good way to close that works for some people some of the time. Not everybody all the time, but some people some of the time. That's true for all of these closing techniques. The distraction close. This technique I like to combine often with the assumptive close. The way it works is this. You're sitting there, right? Say that I'm sitting there and I'm with you. We're sitting down and we're talking about buying a product, right? Say you're trying to pitch me. You notice all of a sudden that I'm getting a migraine headache. Something's bothering me, or I'm looking off to the side, or I'm checking my watch, or something is weighing on me, right? Or an event happens, like the dishes crash in the kitchen, or, you know, something occurs that really distracts me. At that precise moment where there's a distraction, you can swoop in and say, okay, well, here's the contract. Let's get this moving. This does not work on people who don't want to buy your product. It's not going to take somebody and, you know, suddenly convert them into a buyer. But what it will do is people who are on the fence, it can push them over the fence into just saying, what the hell? You know, and they'll sign and your deal goes through. This is also particularly useful in situations where you have a distracting or basically a malacting third party, okay, where you have a situation where, you know, you're pitching two people at once and one's the friend of the person or one is a employee and they're skeptical and the person you're pitching is not. When you see that there's a distraction, it can offer that glimpse of that opportunity for that person to just do what they want, which is to buy your product. And it's also important to note the distraction close, you know, it's almost always paired with that assumptive close. Like I said, when the person goes, you know, is distracted, you swoosh in with your contract, sign here, you know, very straightforward like that. Alternative close. This is a closing technique that is it's a variation on the assumptive. And basically what it does, you act as though the person's decided to buy. But what you do is, say that I'm pitching you something. I'm pitching you SEO campaigns, for example. And I've got my local and my national and my global, right? I've got my 1, 2, and 3 options, right? I've got my options here. What I do is at the end, instead of, you know, just saying, hey, here's the contract, buy product A, I come in and I say, which one of these 3 makes the most sense for you? Right, or which one of these 3? I offer this as an option. So it's assumed you're going to buy, but I'm still giving the option. This can work really well when you're dealing with somebody who's controlling and giving them that ability to choose, to make a decision, to basically control that final step of picking the campaign and then closing out. It can be really helpful and it can push them through and get them to buy. It's just a simple, basically variation upon the assumptive close, but an important one. The 1, 2, 3 close. This operates on the principle of triples. When you're going down and, you know, you've got your contract on the table, person's sitting there, they're thinking of buying, right? You tell them something like this. This product is bigger, stronger, faster. This product is more durable, more cost effective, more reliable. This is safer, longer lasting, better. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You're hit them in triples. Boom, 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 boom. What it does is, psychologically, it overwhelms them. You know, it gets them into a mindset that it's just so great. How can I pass this up? Boom, they close. Doesn't work on everybody. And it is a technique. Applying triples, you can apply this to basically every other technique that I'm talking to you about here. The principle of triples. It's something you should apply broadly to lots of different closes, right? Using the principle of triples when describing your product, because it really emphasizes, it's like putting an exclamation point at the end of your sentence. It really puts an exclamation on all the things you're talking about with features. What I like to do, and the way sales generally works, demonstrations are, you go through this lengthy explanation of lots of different features and stuff. Then you have the summary at the end where you're going to take all that stuff, summarize it up, and punch it out. 1, 2, 3, right? So I tell this person all this technical stuff. And then at the end, I say, basically, Joe, Susan, whoever this person is, what this means is that this product is, and I've gone through all this stuff. This product is better, it's lower cost, and it's longer lasting. Boom, boom, boom. You do that, and you have yourself a winning combination. The ownership close. This is a closing technique all of us who've bought cars are very familiar with. When you go to, you go to buy a car, they always get you to drive it. They get you to feel as though you own it, right? You're driving the car. You take ownership psychologically of this vehicle. You get back to the dealership, and they want to draw up papers. They want you to buy it, right? So they go, where are you going to park it at your house? Or, wow, that color really matches your eyes. What do you think people are going to say about that? Or, wow, your wife's going to really like that. What they're doing is they're basically making you feel as though you own this product. And they're using that to close you out. Okay? Now, one thing that has to be emphasized here about all these closing techniques is, like, this is a closing technique. It is a closing technique. However, just because you say these things doesn't mean they automatically go, okay, let me buy it. You still have to close them, ultimately, get them to sign that contract. And that's why you mix up techniques. What you would do is you would throw in, you'd say, how's this going to match with your wardrobe? As you go and you push the contract to them. Assumptive and ownership close and alternative close, ownership close and triples and alternative close. So you mix them and mash them together, and you'll do this very fluidly after a while. It just comes naturally. These are all just techniques that as you use them, they become easier and easier and easier. It becomes like second nature to go into the close using some of this stuff. Will you use all of it? Yes, yes, close. This is a way to box a person into buying in a way. In a sense, this is a high-pressure technique. However, it's a technique that does work. And it works like this. And it's almost like, I always think of like Perry Mason, an old detective movie or something. The way that it works is you get a person lined up, right? You get, you're talking to this person about buying, and you're saying, okay, Joe, Susan, whoever this person is, number one, you know that you need this product, yes? They go, yes. You say, and this is a product that this business needs. You know that too. Yes. Then you go and you say, okay, you can afford it, right? Yes. The time is of the essence. Yes. And at some point, maybe you go 5 yeses deep with this. You've got them boxed in where if they disagree with buying it, they're contradicting themselves because they just agreed they need it. All right. So it is a high pressure technique, and you go ahead and you use this to basically box the person into buying. And it's a very effective technique when you're going out there and you're doing sales and you're going into the closing arena. And what I like to do with this is I don't like to overuse it. I don't like to have high pressure, so to speak, but I will use some of this, right? You don't have to go all the way to the close with this. You can use this technique, for example, mix it up with the alternative close. So I'd start up the conversation and I would, after I've given my presentation, I say, okay, so you saw my presentation. I want to make sure you understand a few things. This product will do the job for your business, right? You guys understood that? Yes. And you understand that, it's something you really need to take action on. Yes. And you can go, okay, so here's the price. You can agree this price is affordable, right? Yes. And I'll say, okay, well then here you go. Do you want it in small, medium, or large, so to speak? Put it down in front of them and go, here are your options. So I've paired yes, yes with assumptive. And I can even say I've paired it with triples. So I'm pairing things together to make my close happen. Negative consequences close. This is a closing technique that really does work in certain situations, but it's a closing technique you have to be very conscious of the fact that you're being negative. This is also paired with triples quite a bit. What it works like is this. Basically, you're telling the person all the bad things that are going to happen if they don't buy it. There are situations in which products and services have very negative consequences for not being bought. For example, if I were selling somebody a fire extinguisher, I could describe their house burning down and then being unable to put out a simple cooking fire, or not, getting your brakes serviced on your car or something like that, right? There are a lot of things that, have negative consequences not buying. And it's a very simple technique. Basically, what you do is you tell the person what's going to happen if they don't buy the product. And you can pair it with triples. It can get very dark, right? If you go down this road with negative consequences clauses, you could go as dark as you want. You could tell somebody using triples as well, because often it works to deliver them in triples. Say, if you don't buy this product, you don't say if you don't buy it, you say, if we don't do this today, Joe, here's what's going to happen. Your competitors are going to do it. The competitors' businesses are going to take your business, and then you're going to go out of business. You understand that, right? You can get a yes. And see how you just blend them all together? You get a yes from that, and then you can go through these in triples. You can blend all this stuff together and come up with your own techniques of, closing. This negative consequences is basically something that I would say is a last resort closing technique. I generally don't like to ever go negative. And when it fails, it can fail spectacularly. Somebody can throw you out of their business, just end the demo, never talk to you again. But there are cases where it works pretty well. The discount value customer close. This is where in many cases in sales, especially if you're selling locally, you are going to encounter situations where you want to have a price drop, right? You have to come up with a reason for dropping the price. Let's say that I go in to sell you a website, and the website price tag that I initially present is $4,500. And really, in my mind, I'm willing to go as low as $2,500, but I'd sure like to get the extra $2,000. But I'll take anything in between that. We come to the close, and you just can't afford $4,500, and you are not going to close out at $4,500. Well, I have to come up with a reason to drop $1,000 off of that price tag. So one reason that I can come down with is say, I can cut you a deal if you allow me to advertise in your business. I can cut you a deal if you do something for me. You come up with a quid pro quo. So and this is something that's been done a lot, is you faking the call back to the office and then getting a special circumstance created where you drop the price. That's basically what this is. But there are many situations where you need to have a price drop. Discount value customer close is just one of them, and it's a very, very effective one. Now, it flatters the customer. It makes them feel special. And oftentimes this will result, and it also saves them money, so oftentimes this close will work. The last thing I want to go over in this video is the feel, felt, found principle, because central to using any of these techniques, I don't care which one, is the feel, felt, found principle. The feel, felt, found principle basically works like this. You have a person, let's say I'm pitching you, and I try the yes, yes close on you. At the end of it, you go, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to buy that. That's a lot of money, and nah. I'm going to say, instead of saying, oh, really? Walking away, or saying you're wrong and coming at you, I can go, okay, look, I understand how you feel, right? It's perfectly normal. You're probably, it's probably the price, or you can also probe at this point, find out what their real reason is for not buying. You could say maybe the price is too high, maybe this doesn't work or that doesn't work. You can come up with your reason there. Understand how you feel. Others feel the exact same way. You're not weird, right? I'm taking you and I'm saying you're not weird. What they found was, and I go right back into another close. This allows you to take swing after swing after swing at closing somebody. Anyhow, that's going to end this presentation. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, feel free to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and to learn more about Rocket Driver, visit us online at www.rocketdriver.com. I'll see you in the next vid.